I was thinking about like when I went to choir, we would do this kind of exercises, to like prepare the voice and stuff. And there was like some of them were like that you're supposed to smile as well, and you just be like, like, so maybe those would like.
Rubbed an ice cube on my head. That's an ADHD
on your
trick.
Head?
Yeah.
Is it just on your head now? Then like a little hat?
Oh no, I put it somewhere else. But yeah, that's one way. Also, I didn't shower this morning because my timing was screwed up by daylight savings. So that always makes me a little cranky. I don't know. It's like a low level crank. You're listening to The Great and Secret Knowledge. I'm Jeff. With me, once again, it's Sofia.
God kväll.
Hello, Sofia. I hope all is well over there in Sweden.
Yeah, I would say so. It's spring now, so really nice.
I'm not sure what I put out since our last time, but I put out Bombsa, which was a lot of fun. And I guess the last one that's on the website is The Child, that very odd episode.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm about 6 episodes behind.
It would be funny to make an episode that was like Bamse and the Child, like discussion combined. It's like, what would this look like?
That reminds me of a podcast I really loved called Voyager Time. And they would watch an episode of Adventure Time and an episode of Star Trek Voyager and like see if there are any parallels and all this stuff. But one or more of the hosts ended up hating one of the characters. And I'm not sure if it was that or backstage drama or what, but the show died. Like, and the last episode is like, it's like, fucking Neelix.
But that seems like a fun idea, like to have something, if they are different and similar enough so that you can see this kind of parallels and stuff.
Yeah, and they came out like 10 years apart, so they also had that contrast, like a cultural milieu.
Yeah, I could see that.
One was for all families and one was for more kids. I don't know if you've ever seen Adventure Time, but it's...
No, I don't think so.
It works for stoners or adults with a heart of a child, but yeah, it's more for kids. I guess we don't need any more preamble. Let's just get into it. It's season 2, episode 8, A Matter of Honor. So before we start, what did you think of this episode?
I liked it. At first I was a little skeptical, but I ended up liking it.
Okay, what was your first impression that made you wonder?
I think it just took a while to get going. It was a little bit unclear what was the premise and the stakes and stuff. So you're like, okay, what is happening? But I thought that the stakes when they were there were interesting. And I guess like maybe the themes were interesting in some ways, even though it was like maybe a little bit too blunt. But it's always hard to know like how much to. I don't know. We'll get into it, but it can be hard to not be very obvious about certain themes, What do you think about it?
It's sort of a tale of two halves. I feel like a more modern show would start basically right as Riker is going over to the Klingon ship. There was a lot of preamble. I mean, like him and Picard chatting while shooting at invisible targets during laser tag. It's an unusual way to stage a scene like that. And yeah, nowadays they'll like swing the camera around or whatever to make a talking head scene more interesting. I guess back then it's Rob Bowman again, the director, who's again like really good. But there's only so much you can do for such a static episode where not a lot happens.
Yeah. But I did like, though, seeing Riker prepare as well. So I think that did add something to the story.
Exactly, yeah.
So I don't know if we should have, like, jumped right into it or maybe having... But yeah, you could probably cut more of the start and then have more of the Klingon ship and the Klingons and such.
There's also the Mendon situation, the Benzite visitor.
That's the one I was thinking about, that it's a little bit too obvious, but yeah.
It's an interesting contrast, right? I think they're trying to... It's season 2, we're exploring what Starfleet is, how it works. So we're seeing a culture visit and a culture that Riker's visiting.
Yeah.
But we learn so little about the Benzites other than that they just like do what they want until it comes time to report.
Yeah.
So it's like not a very exciting conflict.
No, but it is interesting, just a concept in a general level, because they're trying to show, like you said, someone that comes to human fleet or the Starfleet and they're just like puzzled by all the customs and stuff, and then they show Riker go to another place. So but the problem is, I guess I will get into it now. The problem is that we are outsiders to both of these cultures, so therefore they cannot really go into the specifics, and it gets really general in a sense that it's like maybe not that interesting. Like in reality, there would be more smaller things that you would feel like, oh, that's weird, and it wouldn't be such high stakes, like, getting, like, not reporting this kind of fatal danger to the ship. But that wouldn't be really interesting to have just been like, oh, I feel kind of uncomfortable in this conversation because this person is like looking too much into my eyes or something. That would not be very interesting TV,
I mean, it's partly like there's real threat and stakes on the POG, and there's not on the bridge of the Enterprise. Like the Benzite's not going to be shamed very much. He's not going to be fired or thrown in the brig. Like it's very staid and relaxed. And I guess if that's the point you're making, the concern is that it will feel slow and less important, which then points out that we're not spending as much time as we could over on the Klingon ship. But we know Worf pretty well. We know what he thinks being Klingon is. So we get a good contrast there with how Klingons really are in their own environment.
Yeah. And I think maybe they could have made the Benzoid more interesting if the conflict was maybe more with another individual. Because now it seems like you said, Starfleet is going to be kind of chill about it, like to realize that they're not going to be in danger or anything from making a mistake. But maybe they could be in more of a personal conflict when they cannot, they can't cooperate, and they focus more on that than on the general.
Yeah, I mean, they defused the tension by having Picard sort of accept the Benzite's mistake, and Worf just kind of gives him a little shit and then like never complains again.
Yeah.
I would say the contrast with Coming of Age, where we saw Wesley meet a Benzite before, we had a little more of that cultural stuff because it was like that academy simulation or like pre-study sim, and there just wasn't that kind of inherent conflict. Yeah, like, and Wesley's so gentle, he just comes over and solves the problem.
I mean, I like that in a sense, but there should have been more conflict before that, so that this was needed, like that he had to like and reassure it, you know. So maybe, yeah, I don't know. I think something about like, you know, two people working together, and like maybe it's more about like being personally offended, like, oh, why are you being so know-it-all annoying, like, and then there would be like some friction there where maybe the benzoid would also feel insulted somehow, like, oh, you are not letting me finish this. Like maybe it could have been like they go and report it to Picard, and the benzoid is like, what the fuck, they didn't trust me to do this task, you know, and then you're just like pushing it off when I'm not even finished and I don't even have a conclusion, you know. Could have been interesting.
Yeah. So I mentioned Rob Bowman directed it, so we can expect some interesting stylistic choices. The story was written by two people with almost no writing credits. So I don't know if they were like friends of a producer or if this was their first real shot, but then it was probably cleaned up and tightened, or maybe they just threw out some ideas and then Burton Armus took it and wow, he lived to 90 years old. Anyway, a more established writer made an episode out of it. But he only has the 2 episodes, this one and one we skipped, the outrageous Okona. You might want to go back to that one. I couldn't stand it, so we skipped it.
Good promotion.
All right, so that's the background. Let's get into this plot business. So Riker's calling up Starbase 179. They're going to receive a new crew member or a visiting crew member. So Riker and Crusher hustle over there. Data's in charge of the bridge. It's just pretty dull. Rob Bowman sits in the bridge even though nothing's happening. Next, we're in the transporter. We get 4 science department Starfleets with their blue shirts. And it looks like Mordok, the guy from Coming of Age. Turns out he's Mendon. Ensign Mendon. And my theory is the only reason they did this is they wanted this actor back. So they wrote a script with a Benzite. But then somebody was like, but that guy's a Starfleet officer. This guy has to be a Benzite from their military or whatever the hell they have.
Yeah.
So they're like, just make him a clone, I guess. We are from the same geostructure.
Yeah. For me, it was also confusing at first because I thought that they were saying this was an exchange student or exchange program within Starfleet. So I thought, wait, there is. Okay. Yeah, I was like, there are no Benzite, like, except this one. And then I was like, oh, it's that one. No, okay, it's not that one.
I mean, I guess that's why he's in a Starfleet uniform, because Riker wears his uniform on the Klingon ship. So if he was coming from a different organization, he probably would add a different outfit.
I think it could have also been funny if he was like, no, I don't look anything like this guy. Like, what are you talking about? Because it's like, you know.
Maybe that was the tension. Maybe that was the idea.
Yeah, because I do think that a lot of things that you learn about, we are so good at seeing very specific facial features that we're used to telling people apart. And then I think that this can really depend on the practice, you know. So maybe they're like, no, you can totally see because the skin modeling is different patterns or something. And then they would feel like he looks totally different than the other one.
Or they could be like birds. They see in a wider UV spectrum. And so they can see all sorts of different colorations or whatever.
Yeah. Or like smell. Just like, I smell different.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if this is the case, but doesn't it feel like humans are more different appearances than other animals? And I wonder if like other animals maybe cannot tell us apart or something. Maybe they're just like, oh, like the dolphins. It's like, oh, I don't know which human is which, like, but they can see the dolphins.
That's
Totally
interesting.
different.
Yeah, we can't really get into an animal's consciousness.
Mm.
But yeah, that's fascinating. I was so excited to learn that crows, at least among birds, have this different UV vision so that, like, if we could see, they would all look uniquely different, but we just don't have
Ah.
the tools. It's kind of makes me think of like how objects in space aren't as diverse and colorful as they are on TV
Mm.
because scientists juice them in the pictures and those colors stand for certain frequency ranges or whatever that we couldn't see.
Yeah.
But I think, honestly, I think this is baby's first racism, kind of. It's like, oh, Wesley goes, how do you tell yourselves apart? And Mendon goes,
Mm.
we just do.
Mm.
And Riker gives a face to O'Brien. And at first I was like, are they smiling because, oh, clones, what can you do? Or are they smiling at Wesley's ignorance around this issue?
Mm.
His inadvertent speciesism. During the phaser tag scene, Riker says about the Benzite, he certainly seemed eager to please, and Picard goes, oh, that's a Benzite trait. And I'm like, oh, we're doing this next generation thing where, I mean, I guess it goes back to original series too, which is species essentialism.
Mm.
Kind of the same thing white folks used to, in the main, do about like people from the other side of the world or whatever.
I guess, but I don't know if that's the same thing, because they are different species. So I could totally see it being like that you have just a different mindset, I suppose. That it's not like a culture thing, it's just like, but maybe it is.
Oh, it's a biological.
Yeah, but maybe it's silly to say like, oh, eager to please, because that makes it like brings it into a human context. It's kind of like in Becky Chambers' books,
Yeah.
where like some of the characters are like, "Oh, the Andrisks are promiscuous," and then they're like, "No, this is not like it is not like that. This is a human."
It's totally different human.
Yeah, just because it's if you use just a human term, then it does make it a little bit like unnuanced. But I don't think it's wrong to say like, "Oh, this species is similar to this." It's not like my grandmother, she used to have this history book that she saved from when she was a child, and it described all the different races, and how their temperaments were. But apparently my parents threw it out. I kind of would have liked to have it. Very silly.
It's like my mom's copy of Little Black Sambo. Yeah, when you don't know a culture very well, like with the Klingons, when you don't know their culture very well, you might miss the nuances of different culture of different ships, culture of where they grew up, different city, different planet. It's quite, we just get a narrow range of views. That's what's really interesting about that part of the episode, is we find out Worf only knew a certain style of Klingon, the type that they write about in books or put in the movies or whatever. And Riker gets over there, and some of them are quite gentle and like thoughtful. Philosophical.
What do you think
cool.
would be if humans were, having contact with aliens, and aliens would be generalizing about humans? Like, what do you think? I mean, this is kind of a broad question, maybe, but like, what do you think would be? And of course, it depends on the alien. But like, what do you think would be their description? Like, what would be the stereotype that humans would be like? No, like that is not. That is just some of us. It's not everyone.
So in Star Trek, humans are better than we are in a way. Like they've evolved somehow. I don't know. Genetic engineering. I don't know. But if it's us, if I'm talking strictly about humans here, I would say they're prone to selfishness. They fight at the drop of a hat. They lie constantly. They they create extremely diverse art, religion, culture, but they're confusing as hell. And and are quick to like, what is the term? Like, well, they're unpredictable. They're quick to reactions. They're they can be quite xenophobic, willfully ignorant. I don't know. Like, one thing Babylon 5 talks about is how diverse humans are compared to other cultures, that we only recently created a world government. We've only recently kind of cohered
Okay.
around a particular vibe. So we're much more diverse than these older alien cultures.
That's interesting. The idea that like if you're a newer culture would be that could make sense, I guess, from how we see our own history, like with people creating more bigger and bigger nation states, kind of. But
Yeah.
I don't know, and like getting more and more, like the more and more you're in contact and you're able to exchange like information, it probably does become more homogenous. So I like that. That feels a little bit scientific, like. So then that would make sense then that all the benzoids are the same because they are just like one big benzoid planet. But
especially
what
if their planet was isolated from other cultures for a while. Whereas in this, Vulcans make first contact in the 22nd century, I think. And then Bob's your uncle. We're off into the galaxy meeting all sorts of different aliens. But if you got warp travel, did 100 years of scouting, and then met other aliens, maybe that would. But on Earth, what we find is that humans will break up into factions and create new dialects and stuff, like wherever they go on Earth. Like if they're isolated on an island like England, they'll have hundreds of different dialects and like all sorts of variety.
But not in modern times when we have like technology to communicate. Like now, a number of languages on Earth are shrinking rapidly because people are just like, I don't want to learn this like tiny language. I rather learn the majority language, and they like don't teach their children their old languages because they are too. It makes them too limited in their
And there's the lingua franca. You probably want to learn English or Chinese or Spanish or Arabic, and like everything else sort of like fades away maybe. But the thing I never think about is what's changed Starfleet or Federation society. It's the transporter and the replicator. But I never think about the universal translator. And this is the sort of like reverse Tower of Babel idea where if only man hadn't, tried to fight God and all our languages were split into 1,000 different ones, that's the Bible story, we would all get along, but maybe there is some truth to that, given enough time passing, maybe?
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, of course, understanding is essential too.
I mean, just yesterday, I used Google Translate to read Al Jazeera Middle East, hoping that I could find more accurate information about this war, because we're heavily propagandized here. But I'm sure there are people who've been doing that now for years or months, however long that technology has worked. So yeah, maybe if everyone's doing that all the time, culture might cohere more.
Yeah. But I do like the idea that many civilizations, like if they're around for long enough, they're gonna be like kind of a world civilization. Because we see that now for us, so much of our problems are global. It's really hard. Like I think if we stick around long enough, we're gonna need to have some kind of world government, because there's just no way that you can just let countries do whatever, because it's like we share this biosphere. We cannot, like, you can't allow, for example, a country to be like, oh, we're gonna like experiment with this kind of disease vectors. It's like, nope, this is not allowed. Like I think there should be there will be some kind of restrictions at least. So I could see that being like becoming more general. And although it could also be a question then if you're spreading out more in the galaxy, then it's not only Earth that is place of humanity, and that would be kind of weird. There should be a lot of different colonies where people are just like off and having their own subcultures and being very
Right.
strange. That could be fun if they meet like this benzoid culture at some other planet and they're just like totally different and they're like, wow, these are not the same like at all.
They're all backslapping hardcore athletes,
Yeah,
jock
probably.
planet, or like wine sipping poet planet. The thing is, the Klingons and the Romulans have these empires, right, where they take planets, but not every planet is suitable for the Klingon sort of comfort, you know, the certain temperature or air quality or whatever they like on their homeworld. So maybe they control these planets full of other species that we never meet that could then inform the Klingons that live there. But we only ever see the Klingons that are like diplomats or warriors out on the front lines.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's like Starfleet. They have their, you know, forward-facing culture that is more diverse as soon as you hit a planet or a colony.
Yeah.
Or a civilian ship.
And then you could have different cultures that have Klingon culture because they are like in the Klingon space. Yeah.
In Starfleet Academy, there's a big event that happened between shows where Klingon culture has completely changed. And it's been really fascinating to see what they did with that premise. That's a lot from eager to please Benzite.
Yeah, totally. So when I was gonna comment on the game that they play, because it's funny that they play on the Ukraine flag, which I don't think is intentional, but it's like such a common symbol now that you're like, wait, why are they playing on the Ukraine flag?
That's funny.
It's
maybe the
because it's
rules are
yellow and
different. Let's play Kiev rules.
Yeah. But I think
That's
it's
where
just they are
the
yellow
targets are
or
invisible.
blue team. Oh.
They could have had them in a forest shooting at each other, but instead they had shoot at the sky.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I was fine with it.
So Picard wants Riker to serve on this Klingon vessel. Riker's into it. He's the kind of guy that likes to be the first, likes to blaze a trail. And this is commensurate with him being a pilot. Pilots always want to, you know, in media at least, always want to be like the first, the best, fly the highest, go the fastest. So Picard is informed of Riker's temporary assignment. They inform Station 179 that this is happening. I wrote stardate, blah, blah. So he finds out from Worf, one of the duties of the first officer is to kill the captain if they're screwing up. And I was like, how does this work? Right? It's like Darth Vader killing his subordinates. Like, do you just have an infinite number of highly trained warriors just itching to become an officer? It seems unlikely.
It is a question, because he gets to be, I don't know if this is the way that Riker experienced it, but it seems like then the first officer gets to be captain if the captain is killed. So I don't think the first officer has very good, objectivism in this question.
Right.
There should be
You'd always be thinking about your own philosophy of command.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like you'd be really set in your ways, just waiting for the day when your captain like loses a step and you can cut his head off or whatever.
But I guess what I'm thinking maybe it is, which is also stupid, but like I think it's more like you can challenge the captain, and then if the captain loses, it means he was not like fit to be captain. So it's more a way to keep the captain, active and like. But I don't think I don't think it would be allowed to just like kill him in his sleep, like cutting his throat.
No, that would be dishonorable.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, that's what Kargan, whatever his name is, was saying about that little transporter beacon at the end is that it was dishonorable. So I wrote, I would retire before getting shanked.
No, you're not allowed. It's dishonorable.
Right. I guess most warriors don't want to retire, which we get over dinner later. But I was thinking the same pressure in the Federation might exist among the Klingons, which is you have billions of citizens and only so many starships. So like the way the Klingons do it might actually be a sort of release valve for like if a guy's not the best or a woman, if the officer isn't the very best, they have to go. Because there's thousands of other candidates waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I could see that. And also maybe in the sense that if you have such an advanced civilization, maybe you're not as concerned about death because it's the way that, like, some people maybe just want to risk their life a little bit. Like, they think it's, like, important to their enjoyment, you know. So then that is also a way that you can be like, okay, you can serve as a captain on this vessel, and then you have this excitement. Like if you're home at your home planet, maybe it's like, oh yeah, nothing is gonna be dangerous, you know. I could just like do anything, and I'm never gonna actually risk my life, you know, in a real serious way.
Yeah, they probably have a lot of combat sports, battle sims, you know, always trying to test yourself, make it onto a ship.
Yeah.
Or a infantry or whatever.
I was thinking also with the scene with Riker talking to Worf, it was funny that he's just like, oh, it's different. It's this like comment, and I did like it. It's like, this episode is probably the most I liked Riker, because he was like so chill about this stupid Klingon rules, you know. He's very much like, I shouldn't judge, you know, I should just be like curious, not judgmental.
Yeah. So next, Mendon is kind of snooping. He's just going rogue with his scanner. And somebody's like, what's up? And he sort of, I realized he kind of just brushes past that guy. And the guy had 0 pips on his collar, those little yellow dots, which makes me think he's not an officer, which is why the ensign is able to like just do whatever he wants and not take that guy's suggestions.
What
or
would it
concerns.
be then if it's not an officer?
Well, in the original series, they had technicians and crewmen, yeomans, like this whole class of people that exist in a current military structure who are called enlisted, where they can rank up, but it's different, whatever. Whereas Gene Roddenberry wanted everyone in Star Trek The Next Generation to be an officer. Like somehow there was grade inflation or whatever. But what it means is that occasionally we get a scene like this where Mendon's going rogue, but this guy can't say anything because he's lower level. Next, he's like snooping on the boy, talking about how well designed his interface on his console is. So what I can't tell is, does Wes modify his own console to make it work for him? Or is Mendon commenting on how Starfleet, you know, sets up its helm console?
I would feel it's the way that I got the impression was that every time you do this kind of function, you need to kind of set up things. So maybe you're like making different settings depending on what you need it for at the moment. So it is kind of a feedback to Wesley specifically. I don't think that it's set up like this automatically.
Which shows us that he respects Wesley for his ability and maybe helps Wesley warm up to him. He says something about the input sampling. Simple, but efficient enough. Also, I guess it makes him look like kind of a tool. Next, we have some food chat. It was funny, but also very slow.
I like this drink with the mushrooms growing out of it. That's fun. Like, I've never seen this kind of prop.
Yeah, they really take their time about the Klingon food situation.
Yeah, there's so much food as well. I guess that's not a problem. You can just throw it into the recycling or something when you're done.
Right.
But he's not going to eat all of that.
Mm-mm. It's almost like to show Klingon excess. Like, this is what you can accept at their table. Like, they go hog wild for flavors.
Yeah.
But they also have 2 stomachs. So, like...
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Riker doesn't have all that. So I feel like there should have been a scene of him, like, over a toilet, like, dry heaving or sitting down.
Is it like a cow stomach? So you go through both of the stomachs, or is it like parallel stuff?
I'm not sure. They have redundant organs, right? Which makes them tougher and harder to kill and breathe better in bad environments, that kind of stuff. So presumably only one digests at a time, but maybe it is like a cow stomach where they go over them 2 or 3 times.
Stomach and then...
But we never cover digestion in Star Trek The Next Generation, so... Some people speculate that they transport digested food out of themselves. I like to think that every toilet is connected to a mini transporter and then just beamed into the like matter collection unit that then turns into all the other stuff, or it gets beamed out into space. And everywhere they go, they're just leaving little turds out in space.
Yeah. That's interesting. I remember I read this Diaspora book. I forgot what the name of the author is, but I could look it up. And in that one, there's like all this. There's some humans who are being uploaded into these robot bodies, and they or it's not even robots specifically. It's like they are like machine bodies, I guess. So they can simulate their world, and they can just like simulate anything, and they just live in this simulation part of the time. And in that one, he's just like, yeah, I wanted to keep my ability to pee, but not to poop. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. It's like, to me, I don't really see that, but maybe it's a guy thing. It's more.
Now, one reason why you don't want to get into the beaming business is because the human body needs exercise for its functions to continue working properly. So if you just stopped pooping, like, would your rectum fall out? I don't know. It could have unintended consequences.
I think so. I think that you do need to poop. That seems like, I don't know, there's many muscles down there. You need to keep them exercised. But I was going to say it's Greg Egan is the author that wrote this one.
Greg Egan. It's called Dysphoria?
No, Diaspora. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I know this word, but then when I read it, I was like, misread it. I was like, Diaspora. No.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very fun, but it's a weird one.
So let's see. Worf gives Riker a special device to stay connected. Yep. And I wrote, sure hope he clears it with the Klingon captain for security reasons, but I forgot it's Star Trek. Security doesn't exist. So he doesn't clear it with the Klingon captain. Now, they don't show this, but we know over time that Starfleet officers have a standard loadout. You carry a tricorder and a phaser on away missions. Most of the time you don't have either. Like you pull a tricorder out of a drawer or whatever. So there probably should have been a scene as he goes over there, like with the transporter and a quartermaster or somebody going, on this ship, you have a knife and a gun, and that's it, But instead he has this little thing tucked into his knife sheath.
Yeah.
So on the Enterprise, Mendon tries to talk directly to the captain. Picard's like, bro, chain of command. And then Worf gives him this look. It's like, ugh, this fucking guy.
Yeah. But this is what I mean about it being a little bit too blunt, because surely they would know some instructions, and it feels a little bit like extreme to have this kind of mistakes being made, and the fact that they're just like, no, you're not allowed to do this. It's like they should be more concerned and be like, okay, let's get you back to the orientation, because clearly you're not ready to be on the bridge if you don't know this basic stuff.
Right. Yeah, they kind of throw him into the deep end, sink or swim. But I would also say that if we're following the chain of command, that was Worf's job. One more thing Worf failed to do properly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I give Worf a lot of stick because the Star Trek episodes happen mostly because he's not getting his job done properly.
Oh, yeah. And maybe that is something in that case, like if we wanted to bring into the more personal conflict, maybe it could have been like Worf, that it was more obvious that he failed somehow, and that maybe he didn't do a proper orientation or something.
So Riker's being walked up to the bridge. He gets into a little power play with someone, or maybe with the captain. And the captain starts giving him shit as soon as he walks in.
We missed one scene, though, when they show the Klingon vessel, because I thought it was funny looking. Looks like a frog in space.
I mean, the model looks great, but yeah, it is an odd design. The disruptor dish, deflector dish is like buried inside this like big front hole. Yeah, they stick their bridge on the end of this neck, which sometimes in shows they blow that neck. So it seems like a design flaw. But yeah, they like to be out front. They're kind of designed like a predator, where like their head sticks straight out and their eyes face forward. Isn't that right?
That makes sense.
Predators. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So on the bridge, she's being walked around. I think this is Clag that's walking him around. The first officer.
Yeah, I didn't notice their names. I wasn't sure about the Klingon names.
They take a while to give us their names. It's I don't know why that is. Maybe because they're trying something new, or maybe this writer, because they don't have a lot of experience in sci-fi.
I just thought of them as like the challenging Klingon and the Captain Klingon. Those were the two the head characters.
So this guy steps up to Riker. Oh, I guess this is the goatee Klingon. It's not Clag.
The ship is very smoky.
Oh my God. So this has to do with how they like their air mix or whatever. I think their home world is real hazy. It made me think about the red light. Like when they're in the mess hall, the windows, they have an artificial red light. I think that has to do with like their sun is occluded by dust or something all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this guy goes, "Do not believe him. He lies." And the captain's like, "Speak in their language," which I appreciate. It is always easier to get along somewhere if everybody's speaking the same language. Oh, this is where Clag steps up to him, just dominates him, towers over him. Because Klingons generally are taller. Riker's like, "What is this shit?" And then he throws the guy into a console. I'm like, you're breaking gear like on your first day? Jesus. But Klingons love that shit.
Yeah, I think so. I think that he did. And that's what I like about it, that he had done a lot of homework. He's like, okay, I should do this and then that. And it was a pretty good fight, I think. It didn't look as silly as many of the other fights. Right,
yeah. Yeah, real close up. Save money on stunts. He says something like, "Do you prefer the rank of prisoner?" He says, "My oath is between Kargan and myself. Your only concern is with how you obey my orders. Or do you prefer the rank of prisoner to that of lieutenant? So Riker's just proving that he's top dog. Like, I like to imagine him behaving this way on a Starfleet ship. And just throwing motherfuckers around.
Yeah. Wonder if he would miss it, and he would be like, I want to go back to the Klingon ship. I feel like some humans would just be like, oh, I like this one. And they would leave.
Like he makes a holodeck program and so he can like work with Klingons on his off hours.
Yeah, or maybe he and Worf can have this kind of Klingon, like, role-playing or something.
We did see that sort of in his combat program where like Worf got all growly and
yeah,
like
that's true.
Riker had to be like, easy, bro.
True.
I skipped ahead. Mendon did some like intensive scans before the Klingon ship left. And he found something weird on the hull but didn't report it to anyone. So now we learn that that's happening on the bridge. It's sort of like an aggressive rust that's chewing through the hull. And Worf is like, you're supposed to report whatever's out of the ordinary.
I think that's after when Riker has fought with the Klingon. That's when they talk about the rust and stuff.
So apparently it's a Benzite regulation to do all your study first before you make a report. And Picard's like, well, you got to learn how to do it our way here.
Yeah, which it does seem not very useful because, I mean, in some cases it could be nice, but if it is an emergency, more people are going to be able to study it faster, I assume. Right.
You got to let your boss know. Partially, I think the failure lies with Picard because he assigned a scientist to Worf, who's head of security and tactical.
That's true. He should have.
But it's because we don't have a science officer on the bridge, right? We have Data.
Yeah.
And Data's got other shit to do, so he's not managing this guy.
What did he have to do? I don't remember.
I think he's in this scene. I think he's acting first officer. But like Spock in the original series was first officer and science officer. Like you can do both jobs.
Yeah.
So
maybe Wesley could have been his handler.
Wesley is one of those magical Mary Sue types who can do it all.
Yeah. Could have done it. But I actually think Wesley has not really been in season 2 that much at all. Like if you compare how many stories he had in season 1, he has not really, I don't feel like he had in the beginning of season 2, but the first episode, but other than that he's not really been in any, like I don't feel like he had any conflict, even in this one there was no conflict like for him. He was just like there,
right.
A little bit of a side character only.
I mean, in a way his role was to ease the conflict.
Yeah.
Which could be a nice contrast to how they do things on the Klingon ship, whereas like everybody's like fucking itching for it, and here in Starfleet we're like, hey, easy, slow down, bro.
Yeah. I think there is some intentionality there to show like someone fucking up, but it's not really. It's tricky to do it in a good level.
Right. Worf gets a funny line. Picard says, Commander Data, supervise. And Worf says, and then I will instruct you in Enterprise etiquette.
Yeah, too late, Worf. You fucked up. You should have instructed him before.
And finally, Data comes over to help Mendon solve this little problem.
Yeah. I guess I wanted to comment just on when we talked about the cultural difference, that it does remind me a little bit about the difference in human culture, that there is some variation about how much you contribute in a discussion, that like depending on the country or the culture, people will, I don't know how to summarize it, but like I think it's more like in Western culture it's very common for everybody to have a lot of suggestions and to like make a lot of input into the discussion. But like in some other cultures, there is like much less said. But when you say something, it's like more important, so it's like almost you
Mm.
would think that maybe, oh, it's better if people are like more open to speak, but in some ways it seems like if you have more of a hesitance to speak, then actually the things that are said are more impactful and more useful because people
Oh.
are like having. So I wonder if that is a little bit like benzoid connection, that is kind of like, okay, but I shouldn't share this before I have, enough to share. It's like a little bit of a parallel there.
Interesting. In the mess hall, we learned that Riker's down to hook up with some Klingon women, maybe.
Yeah, it's a little bit unclear.
We don't learn in this scene that like that's a very dangerous activity. You gotta be. Maybe Riker's the only human who could risk it.
Yeah, he didn't stay long enough.
But yeah, we see them feasting and bullshitting.
Yeah.
There's a really nice shot as it kind of pans around. We get like 3 Klingons in frame, and Riker's super tiny in the background. Kind of setting up the threat, maybe. But he's sitting next to Clag, and they're having a little chat. It's some quite slow-paced banter. And Riker seems to be really fitting in. Somebody's like, are you going to hook up with that lady? And he's like, one or both. The Klingons go apeshit. And one of the ladies goes, I may be back for you.
I may be back for you.
Yeah. And I wonder if... But that's after, when they talk about they should give him milk to drink because he cannot eat the normal food.
Oh, yeah. If Klingon food is too strong for you, would you like something easier? And it's funny because the facial expression on Clag isn't, you fucking pussy human. It's like, could we provide you food that you can enjoy better? It was really sweet. Like, he's really open to this cultural exchange. It was kind of moving. And that's what I say, like, this is the episode. All that Mendon bullshit and, like, ordinary Starfleet nonsense. It's like, yeah, that's fine. It's Star Trek. But every time we go back there, I'm like, but it's Klingons.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see. I mentioned the solid red windows. So the Klingons seem pretty chill and sociable, and one of them says, there is much about us you do not know.
The thought never occurred to me of Klingons laughing.
There is much about us you do not know.
That's why I'm here.
You would think that you would know so much in the time where it's so easy to transfer information of different kinds. Like, there should be so many, documentarians and stuff just like hanging around the different places and be like, how does this culture work,
I mean, we're allies with the Klingons, right? So there probably should be. But we also know that at least on Klingon military vessels, it's all Klingons. There's not like observers or journalists. Like, it's very locked up tight.
They should have some bards or something, they can just like write about their epic adventures.
Yeah, like maybe if you lose a limb in the service, you become a minstrel or a storyteller. Let's see. So my charitable reading of Mendon here is that it's meant to show a different approach. Instead of immersing himself in Starfleet culture, he's bringing his own onto the bridge, where it becomes disruptive. Whereas Riker, on the other hand, is there to learn, and
That's
he's
true.
like, I'm gonna learn everything I can about this place.
Yeah, that makes sense because it does seem like. Wait, is it called Mandang? Yeah, that makes sense because he was like at the start he was just like, oh, I can teach you this, I can teach you that. So maybe he had a little bit of a like wrong approach where he was kind of underestimating Starfleet and being like, oh, but my culture is better, and that's why he got tripped up in this, where he just assumed that it's better to do things this way.
And I've seen this a lot online. I've even stumbled a few times where people from another culture are having one conversation and folks come in and be like, well, this is my opinion. And it's like, yeah, but that's so outside the context of what we're doing here. Maybe you should listen for a while before you pipe in.
Yeah.
It's a different approach. I have a ton of notes about this conversation. I'm not sure if they're all necessary.
Which conversation are we on now?
We have
Because you talked about
questions about
Mendang,
what.
so.
I think that was to get into the difference between these
Oh, I
actions.
see. Okay, yeah. The conversation, what I wrote was like, they were saying that Riker had some humor, and they were surprised because he was a like Federation officer, and they thought they didn't have any.
Yeah,
And
thought
then
they
they
were all
talked about
uptight.
yeah, which I think I could imagine that if you're just having this kind of official conversations, that you would just feel like each one is very like practical and like uptight. And then I wrote also about they talked about their fathers and if they were alive or not, and then Riker was kind of judgy and be like, oh, he's your father, you're not allowed to be like
What's crazy about this is we learn in the future that Riker has a very difficult relationship with his father.
mm-hmm.
So like him doing this here, I mean, maybe the writers hadn't settled on that yet, but like it suggests that it still lingers, but like definitely in the 80s, you stick with your family under almost every circumstance, even if they're an asshole. So I think that's kind of the deal with Riker. But the guy says, my father was killed in battle at Tranum ASR. He's got issues with his father. His father was captured by Romulans and not allowed to die. He escaped and he's stuck back home waiting for his death.
Yeah. And this is what upsets Riker. And I think, he was fine before when he's like said he was told so many different customs and he was like, yeah, I will roll it. But then this one is like, no, that's too weird.
Yeah, he says, I was told Klingons do not express feelings the way you do. And he says, yesterday I did not know how to eat gagh. And it was like, cool, these Klingons were kind of philosophical, which is definitely new. I think that one group, that tried to take over the ship, they were all business kind of, but even they got a little philosophical when they were just alone.
Yeah, that's true. They do seem interested in this. Like, they are not just... It could be easy when you talk about a group that is very, warlike, that they would maybe be too much like anti-intellectualism, and they don't seem to be. They like this kind of like, art and poetry and like this, it's important to have like the storytelling of it, I feel like, or like you said, the philosophical aspects of it.
Yeah. I mean, the idea of honor is much broader and more diverse than we had originally conceived of, because we see it through the lens of Worf, who has this very traditional idea. I've already talked about how Trek uses humans to kind of talk about diversity and cultural values. Back on the bridge, Picard consults with Mendon about the life form. He says the Klingons will be more at risk because science words. And they'll be hard to find because they're doing undesignated maneuvers in the Theban system. And they have cloaking device, so it'll be hard to find them. This is when we get the Klingon captain's paranoia. He asks why there's a hole in the hull. This happened simultaneously with the Enterprise meeting. It's a space organism eating their hull. In less than 8 hours, they will lose containment. So, and they think it was caused by that in-depth scan that Mendon took early on. Riker's like, it's no weapon. The Enterprise has no reason to do that, especially because I'm on board. And the captain's like, this is my chance. I'm going to use this weird situation to get some battle in. He says, there is only one response. I intend to attack the Enterprise and destroy it.
Yeah. And previously, we didn't mention, but they did go through, like, who are you loyal to when you're on the ship, for Riker, are you gonna... And it was very, it was a lot of very obvious foreshadowing. Like, are you gonna attack anything that we attack? I feel like there should be a little bit more of a contract, probably, when you go into another ship. Like, I will attack, but only under, like, these that do not violate the treaty, and also this other treaty that we have, this other people, and also paragraph 5 of this, It's like...
Yeah, like, he can suggest tactics, but he can't give top secret information away, like, about their ships, their security protocols, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I feel there should also be some rules what the Klingons can do while he's on board, because it does.
Yeah,
it could create a lot of incidents if it's just like, oh, he was just killed for some stupid reason. It would be awkward.
One thing in this scene with Wesley and Mendon, I already kind of talked about his gentle sort of solving of the issue, but he says, you just made an error. The captain may not like them, but he knows they turn up from time to time. Because Mendon's having a pity party. And he says that, yeah, in their culture, they try to avoid errors at all costs, essentially. And that he can, like, never recover, apparently. If they shame themselves, it sticks with them forever.
Yeah, that seems also very toxic.
Unless he's just very insecure.
Yeah, that could be. It does seem a little bit, compared to the other Benzoid that we met before, he seemed a little bit more dramatic.
Yeah. He wants to know why Wes is being kind to him. That was interesting. Wes is like, why not? I thought you could use a friend. I only hope I can learn your ways before I mess up again. I imagine my methods must seem foolish to you. See, and this pisses me off because, like, here's this warm, touching scene in an episode that I thought was going to be about, like, Klingons killing each other. It's confusing. Let's see. So the captain sends Riker to engineering to study this organism, and he sends Clag to spy on him. He says, keep him under scrutiny. The Klingon captain basically assumes he was sent here on a suicide mission, I guess, or I don't know. Number 2 says, well, I don't know if Starfleets work that way. So we're really finding out that the captain is either paranoid or just, like, horny for battle. And he says, let them charge into their destruction.
Put the ship on full battle alert. Arm all photon torpedoes.
Let them charge into their destruction!
Back on the Enterprise, they have hailing frequencies open, but no response. The Enterprise does an intensive scan. I don't know what that means. Like 360 degrees. Well, I was trying to figure out this yesterday because they said that on something, but that ignores the entire z-axis. So what is 360 times 360, or like all added? I don't know. It's confusing.
Yeah,
but whatever that number is.
Scan.
Yeah, so I don't know how you can intensively scan all of space. That seems unlikely.
Yeah, you don't really need to scan it 360 because you just need the... Maybe they're in the middle of the hole and they scan it like in a circle, like shoo, shoo.
Right,
Then
yeah.
it would be 360.
So Riker says, they may be here to help you. Don't be a fool. Right? Which is like obvious shit. Turn your cloak off, say hi, then turn it back off again. But instead, he wants to do what he claims is honorable, but just appearing and blowing them out of the sky doesn't seem that honorable to me.
No, that's true.
But he says, I am still captain of this vessel, and you are still crew and sworn to obey me. You gave me your oath. Then fulfill your oath and serve this ship as you swore to.
And I'm confused about the rules of this because Riker says like he seems up to participate in the battle, like at least like outwardly, but he cannot give any information, like any intel. And I'm not sure like why is one breaking the oath and not the other. It does seem like agreeing to attack your ship seems like it would be against his loyalties to Starfleet.
The problem is this is pretty much my only exposure to this sort of thing. Like, I can't remember other media where they invite a strange culture on to, like, train with them. I assume it happens in the real world because, like, otherwise this episode wouldn't happen, right? Like, this idea came from somewhere, but I've never seen it before.
Yeah, but I think it could be that in that case, there is much more of a strict, I don't think that they would like go to war with another like person. It would just be training. It wouldn't be just like, oh, let's now attack like this other nation, and not
you could send like paintball torpedoes and fireworks lasers, like that's what they do in normal Earth exercises.
That would be funny. I actually thought, I don't remember at what point I thought this. I wrote it down, but we haven't gotten to it yet. But I thought maybe it was a test of the Klingon captain. That he was just like, I'm going to test.
He does claim, he says, if you had surrendered those secrets, I would have killed you.
Yeah, it does.
But instead, you will die with us. You will die like a Klingon.
If you had told those secrets about the Enterprise, I would have labeled you a traitor and killed you where you stood. But instead, you will die with us. You will die like a Klingon.
Yeah, I don't know. It did seem like he wanted Riker to participate in the battle, and that's what, for me, I thought maybe he would be like, are you gonna participate in this battle? And he wanted to see if Riker would agree, and then he would be like, oh, just kidding, we're not gonna attack them. That's what I thought was.
Yeah, I mean, this is a thing assholes do, right? They see how far they can push it.
But I don't feel like he was bluffing. I think that he really did want to shoot the Enterprise.
Yeah. So back on the Enterprise, Mendon's scanning. He's got some growth rate projection news. He reports to the captain. Or does he report it to Worf first? I mean, the captain already broke chain of command by talking directly to him, so maybe that's just the current situation, because he goes right in front of the captain. He's managed to isolate the organisms, and yes, they can be removed. A tunneling neutrino beam will solve the issue. Sounds pretty cool. So Picard says, add that information to the hailing messages. Back on the Pach, the captain doesn't believe they're here to help. Enterprise still hasn't found them. Data says they're likely here and cloaked, so they go to red alert. Once a Starfleet vessel goes to red alert, they put up the shields. I think even in yellow alert. So once the shields are up, the POG's strategy of hit it with all available ordnance doesn't work because the shields are up. So maybe he thinks they can overpower them and then blow them up. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
I mean, Klingons have cloaking devices, so I guess they factor in trickery into their concept of honor, but it is a little squishy.
Yeah, I wonder if that is one of those things where, but I guess they have had this technology for a really long time, because otherwise it could have been interesting if it's just like they have this like traditional technology or traditional culture, and then you add this technology on top of it, and it sometimes maybe it could be really tricky because you kind of lose like, okay, is this in our culture? Like you have this kind of weird transition where maybe you allow some moral failings because you have this like new inventions and stuff.
Interesting. They don't go into it a lot, but in Star Trek Discovery, they go back to an earlier period when Klingons first developed cloak, I believe, or at least first distributed it widely. and it just leads to mass piracy, which doesn't seem very honorable, but it happens for a while. So Riker and the captain are arguing. Riker says, well, we got to get within 40,000 kilometers before we engage. Doesn't say why. He says the Enterprise will not fire first. And Kargan, or whatever the hell his name is, says, then they are fools, for we will. He says, you'll only get one shot. We'll only need one. So they're going to expend all available ordnance. Riker does the 40,000 thing. The captain wants Riker to give the order to fire.
This is what I thought. I think at this point, that's when I was like, oh, wait, it's a test. He's going to see if he gives the order. And then if he does, then it's just going to be like, whatever. I was just kidding.
Yeah, and that's when we find out it's all silly putty weapons.
Yeah.
Not serious.
I would love it if it's just like a paintball, like you said. It's a giant space painter, like...
And then there's a guy stabbing Riker in the back with like one of those swords that goes back into the handle.
Yeah. I was watching the end of the Knives Out movie actually the other day, and it was fun to see this when he stabs with the prop knife by accident.
I just watched the second and third one for the first time. Pretty good.
I really didn't
seen Knives
like
Out in a while.
Yeah, I really didn't like the second one at all, so I never watched the third because I thought the second one was actively bad.
Third one's definitely better. The second one for me just like bounced because that type of guy in real life sucks so bad. I don't want to spend a whole movie with him.
Yeah.
The Ed Norton guy. Let's see. So Riker says the reason for this fight is not valid. This is when he pulls out his... I swear to God, I had an AI hallucination that he pulls out a knife and kills the captain. I was so confused. So he clicks on his device, hands it to the captain.
Yeah, because the captain...
This captain is high on drugs.
Yeah.
If some random dude hands you a thing that's got a red light flashing, are you seriously... Like, I'd chuck it. I'd be like, that's a fucking grenade.
I agree.
Get rid of it.
But he doesn't hand it, like, the thing that is funny is that he picks it up and is just, like, holding it, and the captain is like, what is that? Give it to me. So I think it's like he's being a little sneaky. He's not going to be like, hey, we can take this. But I agree. When you take it, you're going to be like, crush it or something, like, smash it with a hammer.
Yeah. I think it's just another example that this captain is maybe nearing the end of his usefulness.
Oh yeah, that's why you have to kill them, because it's like they go all this kind of... I was thinking about...
They get too horny for battle.
Yeah, I think so. It's like they go all dementia, like... I don't know, I feel like I had some media about this the other day, but I forgot. But it's like the idea that when you assassinate them, maybe... Yeah, you need to do it when they go too incompetent.
There's a brilliant episode of Deep Space Nine where an old warrior comes to a friend and is like, I need one more battle before I die. And so he ropes her into this whole thing. But it really is like that. Like maybe they just like get near the end of their career and they're like, fuck it, let's do some shit.
I mean, that's
kind of the plot of Hunt for Red October, right? Like the general or whatever, the guy that runs, the captain of the sub is like, I want to get into some stuff. Of course, I was thinking of Crimson Tide and not Hunt for Red October, which starred Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin. Nary a Gene Hackman would be found in that film. Carry on.
Oh, I don't remember that.
That's why Gene Hackman is so fucking off his nut on that one, because he's just convinced that battle is on its way.
Yeah, that might be. I guess I don't really like this concept overall of this, like, having to die in battle, because maybe it's because there is the... I don't know how to summarize it, I guess, but like there is the Viking, like stereotype of it being like the Vikings would just be like, I'm gonna die in battle, and then if you do that, then you go to the heaven. And really, it's not really clear that this was the case, because all of the stuff that was written about the Vikings were actually written by non-Vikings, because the Vikings they didn't have a paper writing system, so they couldn't write these very elaborate stories. They just wrote on rocks sometimes, and like, here is my father, he died. This kind of
I mean, some of them basically acted like pirates, so like people would report them being piratical, but like most of them were just trading and like doing normal boat shit.
Yeah,
and
the whole thing with Valhalla might just have been a reaction to Christianity, where because Christianity was getting more noticed, and they might have just been like, oh, we're gonna do like a version of this. So we don't actually even know if Valhalla was a huge thing in Viking culture, if it was just something that came at the end before people become Christian, because it was more better for business and also for getting more support from abroad to fight your enemies.
Yeah. So the way TV works, oftentimes it like relies on, what's that called? Collective wisdom, or like conventional wisdom, like sort of pseudoscience based on scholarship from 20 years earlier or whatever. So like at the time, even though we were probably learning more about Vikings, they're making this culture that's homogenous, that has elements of Viking culture, and then elements of like, I don't know, the Mongols, like, they kind of conglomerate different cultural ideas.
Yeah.
But it can be a little stereotypical even before you get to the production of the episode.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it becomes a little bit exaggerated, I think, when you have this kind of like idea that everybody's just like, you have to die in battle, otherwise you shame your family, And I think it's a little bit also, we see this in, the book Shogun, in that one. Have you read it? Yeah. And
I loved it when I was a kid, but as I've gotten older, I've been like, well, this was much less. This was like 5 years in Japanese history or whatever. Like when this was a really big thing, like it was not 5 years, but a shorter period than we think.
Yeah. And I think that from what I've learned is that it was a bit exaggerated, the way that, everybody's just like, oh, I will lay down my life like without hesitation for honor or something. It's not, and that was like connected also a little bit to the American view of Japanese during World War II, because there was this like suicide pilots, and then it becomes, even though I'm sure it was like a part of it, it becomes almost like every Japanese person is like that. And I guess that's also annoying with the Klingons, the idea that every Klingon is going to be like, you have to die in battle. I think there should be maybe more of a span on that, I imagine.
Right. We meet tons of humans that are like different from Starfleet, right?
Yeah.
Random research scientists. We've already met several of them. But yes, meeting civilians is like crucial to learning more about a culture. Whereas if all we knew about the Japanese is suicide bombers and like bamboo shoots under the fingernails or whatever, like, of course we're going to have bizarre ideas about their culture. Like they were convinced that all of Japan would rise up to battle to the death if we did a ground invasion. But that probably wouldn't have happened. But that's what people that defend the nuclear strikes often lean on.
Yeah.
So Riker uses that device, transports the captain back to the Enterprise. And he says he's relieved Kargon, and he gets to say, I'm your captain now.
Yes, it was badass.
I'm your captain now.
And he sits in that chair like a Klingon. It's fucking awesome.
Do you think that it counts if you just like transport the captain away, or like could have kept the command if you wanted to, and just like been like, oh, now we're leaving.
Just become a Klingon officer for good.
Yeah, or at least
I don't know.
For how long he wanted.
They might require him to kill Kargan.
Yeah, that's what I was
Otherwise, it's not
wondering.
honorable.
Yeah, but if they just left him there and they were like, oh, he's gone now from the ship, so I defeated him. But I assume this is not the case, but it would have been funny.
Yeah, that's so dishonorable. It might even lead to a war with the Klingon Empire.
But they did accept it at the moment, so shouldn't they be like, no, he's still our captain, like, he's just in another vessel?
I think they only accepted it because Riker's number one, Clog, does not trust his captain and thinks he's paranoid and like needs to be replaced.
I don't know. It seems a little bit like Riker is teaching them the Starfleet ways, in this story. So I think it would have been better if he had done, what the Klingon culture was. But I guess it would be kind of gruesome if he killed the captain. It was just like, oh, this is the Klingon way, But that's how they set it up. He should probably have killed him in battle in the bridge, And
it should have been a knife with a transporter beacon in the handle.
No, that's not
that.
honorable.
And Worf hands him a knife, and he's like, "Worf, what the fuck?" And he's like, "It has a transporter beacon in the handle."
Yeah, because aren't they a little bit cowardly, the writers in this? Because they set this up, that the Klingons have a super different culture, and that like Riker is being like open-minded and it's like, oh yeah, this is different from ours, but he never actually have to, like he only has to eat the worms. I guess that's a little bit bad, but he doesn't have to go against this culture and like to experience this culture. So I think that he should have killed the captain. I think that should have been the end of the story,
At the very least, get his collarbone broken by a sexy Klingon woman, get his ear bitten off or whatever.
I love that. Like, the
and he should have worn the fucking uniform. Imagine Riker in fucking battle armor.
Yeah. But do you think he should have killed the captain? Do you feel like that would have been a satisfying story?
I think stunning him would have been fine, or
but
knocking him out.
That is not their culture, Like he has to, when in Rome, he has to kill the captain.
Or maybe the like Spartacus style thing where he's got the knife to his neck. And he says, if I was a Klingon, you would be dead already. Something like that.
Yeah, that I would like, actually. That idea that he kind of defeats the captain, but then he's like, okay, but I'm not going to be a Klingon. Like, I respect you, but, like, I am not that. Okay, I like it.
Yeah. Maybe hand the knife to his first officer.
Oh, yeah, so that he kills him? Oh, no.
I mean, that would be very fucked up, but yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So Worf stuns the captain. Picard says, where's Commander Riker? Riker tells Clag to break cloak. It is the Pog, sir. And Riker pops on and tells Picard to surrender. And I love this shit. This happens again in a future Star Trek episode where the Starfleet surrender to give face. Oh, this is another thing that's like borrowed from Eastern culture, is the idea that sometimes losing is a form of winning because it brings the cultures into stasis, or cultures or polities, governments, whatever.
You mean like in a Go
or just
game?
Random people. Right. Yeah. It's a different way of fighting than we've seen before. I don't know if we've seen Picard surrender yet on this show. Because normally they scuttle the ship, self-destruct, But if they're your allies and they take your ship, do they ransom you back to Starfleet? Do they steal all your secrets? Like, it's a little more confusing.
Yeah, I feel like those Klingons would have been in big trouble if they have succeeded in shooting down the Enterprise, because it's like, for what reason? This is not...
Right.
I don't know how that works. Would the captain face some kind of court-martial, or are the captains allowed to do whatever? Like, do they have... I assume they have some kind of fleet command,
If it was a sensible captain and not this guy, maybe they'd take out the warp engine and like drag you back to a station in Klingon space and put you up for the night, like, and then
that would make sense.
Take all your computers out of your ship and then send you back.
Or just have a trial like in Klingon space and be like, did you try to kill our vessel? But
I love a Star Trek trial.
But maybe, I don't know, they also think that they are dying, this ship, because they're saying like, if we don't manage to fix it, it's going to be like in 8 hours you're going to be done. So maybe there is a little bit of desperation there.
The desperation, yeah. Again, aging captain. He might never get another chance to distinguish himself in battle. This thing is going to destroy both ships, so fuck it. Let's blow one up, and if we die, we die.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So Picard agrees to fix their ship, sends the captain back to the Pag. Kargan returns and challenges Riker. Riker growls, and they fight. And the captain says, "Get him off my ship."
Yeah.
Get him off my ship.
I think that the idea is then that, as far as I understand it, it's like he could have been like, yeah, I accept you, you know. But because he growled, then he was like, he was being defiant, and then he was thrown off. And then he was allowed to leave then because he wanted to leave.
Another face-saving measure. Essentially, Riker is risking his life to allow the captain to get a small win, hoping that he'll get back to the Enterprise and Dr. Pulaski can put his liver back together or whatever.
His liver? What happened to his liver?
No, I mean if he had been stabbed or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
So Clag compliments Riker. And then I wrote, wait, he doesn't kill Kargan? What the fuck? I've been like typing on Discord servers. I'm excited it's the one where Riker kills a guy. And then I had to go back and be like, I'm so embarrassed. I had a Mandela effect situation. And then we have a dull return in the transporter. Riker and Worf stroll down the hallway.
And it was funny, I wrote in my notes that was a very short exchange. And then they say it in this in the show as well.
Riker says, "Your little toy worked. Thanks." "I'm glad it did. You come from a very brave and unique people. I'm glad you're with us on the Enterprise. Thank you, Commander. And welcome home."
Yeah, it's funny that he's still like appreciative. I would do it like, these Klingons are crazy. Like, I'm not gonna do them again.
Bro, I'm glad you're Starfleet, because that shit is whack. I wrote, odd that in a Klingon episode there was very little shooting or stabbing.
Yeah.
Any other notes or thoughts we didn't get to?
No, I don't think so. What about you?
No, that's the end of my notes completely. I'm taking a look at the IMDb reviews, see if there's any legitimate critiques. None so far. It has an 8.1, which for IMDb is very good. I'm just clicking. Okay, finally I got to one. Celine Duchesne. Okay. This is the memorable episode where Riker volunteers for an exchange, shows how tough he is by eating worms, offering to have sex with 2 female crew members at a time, and setting a dispute with another officer with his fists. It wears well. Frakes is not the most convincing macho man on screen, but he more than makes up. So this is all positive. So why did they give it a 5? I don't get it. See, this is a problem with... Yeah, looking for reviews is often confusing. It's like, what are people's metrics? Everybody's different.
Yeah.
And I hate it when they give synopses. It's like, bro, we watched this already. What are you doing?
Yeah. I think it's tricky when you give scores, though, because I sometimes think about that when I review books or something, and then when I rate them, because I really will only finish a book if it's a 3. No, otherwise I probably won't finish it if I don't think it's at least a 3. So that means I really only have 3 different scores to give, like it was okay, right. It was, so really one should be okay, because that means like I read it, and then otherwise you'd be just like did not finish or something. So it's a little bit tricky then too. Like, how do you score then in order to actually use the 5 stars?
Yeah, it's so funny when I come across a review that was like, I didn't finish. It's like, well, then your opinion is weak at best or completely invalid. Yeah, this person doesn't like how Klingons are sort of drawn just in general. And like when it's that vague, it's well, that's just how Star Trek is doing it. You just don't like how Star Trek is doing it, you know?
Yeah.
It's because that's like the show, that's what they decided. In Klingon, there is no word for physical assault. Well, that's interesting.
What? Did you say this? I don't notice it.
Somebody wrote a funny review. The Klingons are like that one drunk friend you have who always gets you into trouble or decides to pick a fight with you over something ridiculous because they are completely out of it. It's a fun time to explore this warrior culture's inconsistent interpretation of honor and duty. Yeah, so they gave it an 8 out of 10. But yeah, that's interesting. If you only give reviews when it's good, which is kind of what I do as well. I mean, I think if I was a teacher the same way, I'd be like, if it's good enough for me to think about it enough to give you feedback, it's probably a C or a C plus. Like, if it's not that, fucking do it again and bring it back to me. Like, that would cause a lot of work for you if you have a lot of students, but that's how I would prefer to do it.
Yeah, and I could see with this kind of old show that this would be the case, that more the reviews are all positive, or most of them. But I think in new shows, then it would be much more like, oh, this one was not as good as the last one, so then I would give it like a 3.
I mean, Starfleet Academy was getting so many bad reviews early on. A lot of it is just the anti-woke asshole contingent. But some of it was, this show isn't for me. And it's like, until a season is complete, or in this case, even partway through a second season, it's hard to know what they're going for exactly. Yeah. It's not just the arc of the season or the characters or the style. It's a show's essence, you know? And when can you really effectively comment on that? It's why I try to like watch a episode twice before I sort of critique it on its own merits.
I think it depends, though, because I do think if the showrunners or the network is releasing the episodes weekly, then I think that you cannot then be like, oh, but don't critique them individually. It's like, you release them like this. And I understand this is not necessarily the creators, but there was this whole thing with season 3 of Ted Lasso, where like people were very critical of the episodes, and like the writers or some different people who were involved, they were like, oh, wait to the end of the season. I'm like, these are weekly releases. You can't just be like,
right,
wait until the end of the season to like give opinions about each episode, because I think that the episodes also have to be satisfying on their own in some sense.
I mean, in a way, it's the water cooler chat kind of thing. It's like, in the age of 22 episode seasons, that's how you learned about it, is like the chatter week to week. You know, oh, well, people keep saying every episode's good. I guess I'll finally get with it.
Yeah.
And Star Trek at this time had that ability to like slowly build an audience. But Starfleet Academy has 10 episodes. So it's like people watching it for the first time are like, I need every single one to be better than the last.
Yeah.
Or it's not worth it. And that's just not the way they do TV in Britain, right? They put out 6 to 12 episodes, whatever, depending on the show. And that's it. And like now you can go to iPlayer and watch all the episodes or video on demand. But back in the day, you had to wait for the videos to come out on tape or whatever.
I don't know. You mean that Britain they release everything at once, or?
not all at once, but like there's so few episodes that they're kind of used to things working this way, whereas American audiences
Okay.
are feeling cheated somehow by not having enough hang time with their friends, you know?
Yeah, that could be. I mean, there's definitely the discussion about this, like if it's better to have, nowadays each episode have to be like very essential, but in older times it was fine to have just like some filler episode or something that really was essential to the overall story, and some people miss it, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, the next episode, Measure of a Man, is, some people say, the best episode of Star Trek. Certainly The Next Generation, one of the best. But the one after it is pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
It could have been a season 1 episode. It's Wesley heavy, so it's not reviewed as well. It's just, I mean, there's one episode where they get stuck in a poorly written novel.
This seems fun, actually.
Like it's just all over the place. So yeah, you get the hang time, but then you also get the half-assed or like poorly conceived episodes.
But I think that with this kind of show, it makes also, I wonder if people watching, for example, Black Mirror, maybe that is a similar experience to this show, because it's not so much like, I don't know, I just feel like nowadays when you watch a TV show, each episode have to kind of be part of the overall plot. Otherwise it feels just like, oh, this didn't advance anything. But that maybe if you watch Black Mirror or something like an anthology like that, then maybe it would be more like, oh, this episode was great, like the next episode is not that great. But it doesn't make that you're like, oh, I'm finished with this show now because like this one episode was not good. Or rather, you are more okay with judging them individually. So, and maybe a little bit like comedy shows would be like that.
In this era of television, before Deep Space Nine or Homicide: Life on the Street, or some of these shows that had an arc, before that, they were syndicated. People could watch any episode in any order, pretty much. Whereas now that just doesn't work for people. But like Quantum Leap is a good example. This one is kind of like a short story collection all set in the same universe. But Quantum Leap, he goes to a different time period, a different person's life every week. There's almost nothing connecting the episodes together. So it's almost like a true anthology, but for 2 characters that are in every episode.
I think that there really should be more shows like that, but maybe, I don't know, I heard that there was a problem, like after Dark Mirror was so popular, they tried to do a lot of anthologies and most of them failed. So maybe it's just hard to get people hooked on these kind of things where it's like each episode is different. So that could be tricky.
Yeah, I think the things that succeed there are things like Quantum Leap or this, where like there are at least 1 or 2 characters that are always present.
Yeah.
Whereas in a true anthology, it's more like Alfred Hitchcock or The Outer Limits or Twilight Zone, where it's like there are episodes that you like and episodes that you'll never watch again. And maybe it's because you didn't like the guest star or the plot or the writing or the dialogue or whatever.
Yeah.
I really should give Black Mirror a try. I watched like 2 episodes and
too depressing. I watched only 2.
It's depressing. It's stressful. It's bleak. It's not for me.
You could watch only the one when they're in a Star Trek universe. I can send you which one that is, because it's actually not as depressing as the other ones. I've only seen 3 episodes, and I think that you would like the Star Trek one.
Yeah, I do love the optimistic. It's why I'm a Doctor Who fan as well. The idea that human beings can get better, and we should imagine that as often as possible, rather than what it looks like really is happening, which is that we're
I think
not
it
getting better.
depends on, but I totally agree, and I think that sometimes I can be annoyed at these kind of dystopian shows, or because it is lazy in a sense. I think it's so easy to point to what is bad or what is like undesirable. It's much harder to make something where it's like, this is actually something that I think is good, because then you really have to think about it and really have to like try to, it's so easy to be like, oh, this is bad because it's like, hurtful, but it's much harder to say what makes people happy, what is like a good system.
Yeah, it's one thing that I have trouble with Fallout is that the main character holds it together because she's very optimistic, but she keeps running into societies that are either completely dysfunctional or are on the decline. We get little glimpses of positive societies, but they're like flashbacks. So but it's so colorful and exciting that it kind of like beats the bleakness. Silo 2, like it has an optimism in the future, but right now it's like on the edge of collapse. Yeah, it's tricky, but there are some things that I just won't engage with because they're just too real.
Yeah, I think that I'm more maybe sense. I guess for me it's like more in books. It's important to me that they are more optimistic. In movies or TV also, but I think that sometimes the negative aspects can be very visually interesting, and then I think it is more interesting. Like when I read about like bad things in a book, I'm not gonna be having much enjoyment unless it's something very exciting in the moment. But like when you see something like very grim, in a visual medium, it can be beautiful in a way. Like one of my favorite movies is Children of Men. It's like so well done, and it's like when you watch, there's certain scenes that is like terrible. Like for example, when the bus is moving away. I'm not gonna go into specifics, but like there's this scene when a bus drives away, and you see what happens to the people that got off the bus, and it's so well done. It's like almost like you just enjoy the visual of it, even though it's terrible.
Yeah. Have you seen The Road with Viggo Mortensen?
No. Maybe I should watch something like that, because I would not want to read the book, but yeah, maybe I would enjoy a movie.
The book is so fucked.
Yeah.
The movie cuts out probably the worst bits.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I will watch the movie, because I have liked some of these kind of bleak movies, but it depends. Yeah, it's hard to say. I think what I like about Children of Men is just also that the world building is so impressive. Like there's so many details and all these different things to show everything.
And Michael Caine is bizarre. He just wants to hang out until the end. Have you read The Gate of Ivral by C.J. Cherryh?
No, I haven't heard of it even.
It's sort of a medieval story with sci-fi underpinnings. But man, it's one of those one thing after another books where like you keep thinking they'll win and then ugh.
Oh, okay.
But it's very beautifully written.
Do you think that is bleak then, or what? Or what do you?
It's one of those few like real slog bleak books that I just love. There's 3 in the series. But yeah, it's. The main character is kind of optimistic, so that holds you up.
Yeah. I mean, it seems unlikely that I would like it, but on the other hand, it's easy to try a book and then just be like, is it good? Well, I will ask.
It's got a great lead female character, which is a nice... and C.J. Cherryh is just incredible.
Yeah.
They suspect that she wrote The Pandora Principle, which is one of the best Star Trek novels. But it was under a pseudonym, so they don't actually know. But it has her style.
I've only really read, I think for her, I read The Foreigner, which was very interesting, but it's also very bleak. And like, I tried to reread it, and it's pretty... it's something about maybe the characters are a little bit too calculating and like, cold in there. But it's very interesting, like of the weird alien races, idea. And then I did read some other book that I think I didn't at all vibe with. So, yeah.
we're close to the end, so
Yes.
let's knock out our recs. Well, we're definitely watching next episode, Measure of a Man.
All right.
It's data heavy. It's a trial episode. So that brings me to my recommendation. Once again, I'm recommending the Duras Sisters podcast. They're currently in the midst of their trial series. So the way they work is they'll cover the original series, then they'll do the Next Generation the next week, Deep Space Nine the week after. And their series, they cover the episodes where there's a trial or a important hearing. So this was one of them. So yeah, if you guys like Measure of a Man, check out the Duras Sisters Next Generation episode about that. It's very good. I'm also rereading Les Miserables and James S.A. Corey's Abaddon's Gate, which is the third Expanse novel. Every once in a while, I'll just fire those back up. They're so good. And I think that's it for me.
I don't think that I have anything that I've been reading or anything recently, because I'm just rereading, and I guess I'm a little bit lazy about it. I haven't read that much, but maybe my recommendations are the ones that I said before now. With the, I can just recommend Children of Men movie.
Yeah, Children of Men is so good.
Maybe we can put in the Black Mirror episode as well. I'm gonna look it up because it's like, I think it's one of the few that is not like super bleak, and it is like Star Trek related, so it could be fun. Maybe if people are interested in watching a Black Mirror episode, they can. But I will look it up to see what it is called. It's still
you
kind of
mentioned Becky
creepy.
Chambers.
Oh yeah,
you mentioned
that's
Becky
true.
Chambers, so I was seeing if she has anything new, but it looks like the most recent is one of the Monk Robot books, A Prayer for the Crown Shy.
Yeah, from what I know, she has not had any new recently. But I think in that one, I guess the one that I mentioned in this episode was the one that is the Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I feel like if anyone likes it, they have already read it. I feel like it's hard to miss.
Right? It's like a cozy mystery, but that kind of gentle vibe, like most everybody gets along. So it's different than your average macho man kind of sci-fi. So yeah, we know what we're watching next. You can find me all over the internet at El Jefe Tacoma. Listen to my other show. It's an actual play podcast set in the world of my novels, space opera, cyber zombies. We got demons in play now. There's magic. So yeah, if you like that sort of stuff, check that out. We're starting season 7 this last month. So yeah, we've been at this a while. The sound quality is good. We're funny. Also, Omniversal Escapades is my live stream. We're usually every other Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/Omniversal Escapades, or you can watch all our old episodes over at youtube.com/Omniversal Escapades. I believe that's everything. Listen to our other episodes. We just put out one about Doctor Who's Human Nature, Family of Blood will be coming out soon. And I did one with James Lark about The Hand of Fear, which was one of the great classic Tom Baker Doctor Who episodes about a creature that sucks in radiation. It's a silicon-based life form that invades a nuclear plant. It's very cool. And yeah, I guess that's everything. Oh, I know what I wanted to mention is that I've started advertising again on one of my favorite podcasts. It's called Starship Tempest. It's like a Star Trek adjacent sort of story. Klingons, Romulans, the whole deal. It's very cool. So if you like that sort of thing, it's also funny. And everybody on it, they're all old friends from a theater group. So they have a great vibe. That is Starship Tempest. Okay. That'll do it. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, Sophia. And of course, on our Discord server over at Unspoiled. Have yourself a good week.
Yeah, you too. Ha det så bra.
Ciao, Bella.
I'm your captain now.
A huge thanks to James Lark of jameslark.co.uk for providing our wonderful theme song. Thank you, James.